Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot and welcome to a soulmate snapshot. So, I asked in yesterday's extended video for you guys to get a hold of me and let me know what you wanted to hear about today, and you absolutely delivered. Basically, what I heard was several of you have recently been reflecting on your last conversation with your person or your last interaction with your person. So some of you have reached out recently and regret it, feeling a little bit of shame around it. Some of you are looking back to something even a little bit farther ago and saying, I don't know how I feel about this. Or worse, I do know how I feel about this and it's really not very positive. One of the questions that was really just coming out a lot was, how did your person feel about that last interaction? What exactly happened there for them? We're going to go ahead and jump into it. I feel like this is a perfect place for a soulmate snapshot. Those were great questions. So, of course, it will be a general reading as always for this collective. So, if it resonates with you, maybe get in there and check out some of the other messages. Maybe think about subscribing. It's been a wild few days here. The extendeds have gotten a little bit deeper, and in some cases, it's like the next day will just be an extended of the previous day's extended. So there's been a lot of intense energy, but honestly, I would say that that's been true pretty much the whole time I've been out here, which was so for a little bit over a year. We're just going to go ahead and jump in. The first thing that I want to do is look at the energy between the two of you as it stands today, not as it stands at the time of that interaction. We'll look into how they feel about the interaction in a minute. But where we want to start is just kind of what's the energy between the two of you as it stands today. Give us a little bit of a window into the big picture. It's like that energetic backdrop, but it's just very specifically between the two of you. So we've got the Fool in reverse. This is retraction, maybe feeling a little bit of foolish and shameful. Six of Wands. Oh, knowing that there's a possibility for success. Ace of Cups, not being able to access the emotion. Nine of Wands, feeling a lot of resistance. I suppose that makes sense. So these are the ones. I didn't expect so many cards, but they're about perfect. So yeah, this is what we've got as our top level of energy. So we've got basically, this is a person, and it's really between the two of you you guys are like between boxing matches and you've gone back into your corners a little bit to kind of figure out, wait a minute, how am I doing? What just hit me? There's definitely a tendency to hold back some of the emotion, but still feeling a little bit of shame or maybe foolishness. That feels pretty mutual, to be perfectly honest. I think that you guys may be feeling more foolish than the other person is seeing you. A lot of resistance and feeling like you're afraid to face one another on some sort of like not specifically in general, not necessarily you're afraid to face each other in general, maybe, but more that on certain topics you're not likely to have a productive conversation at this time. And yet, the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands saying this is going to be great. You know, there's a Six of Wands here. It almost feels like the star. And I'm drawn, in fact, to the stars in the background behind this horse. It's got this feeling of everything's going to work out. That is in the energy behind you. Like, so we know that a lot of you have, I guess, like a predefined contract that you're working through. And this isn't everybody, and it doesn't always come out in the cards. But a lot of times I can kind of feel the edges of it. This is one of the times I can feel the edges of it. And that Six of Wands is especially saying, yeah, it's going to be fine. You just work through it. Keep going the direction that you're going, and you're going to be fine. But what makes you not want to go the direction that you're going probably is this Fool in reverse that makes it feel a little bit shameful. So Four of Spears in the reverse, healing that hasn't yet been done, feeling the edges of that healing that hasn't yet been done. And then with the Knight of Teacups, this is that this is that resistance, wanting to be quiet, feeling foolish, not being able to allow the emotion to flow. With that Knight of Teacups, that energy is pretty strong. Then we've got the Nine of Hedgehogs. So Nine of Hedgehogs, though, in the upright, this reminds me a little bit of that Six of Wands, that feeling that everything is going to work out fine. But it's a little bit of a reliance upon your energy as well to make that fine. So I just would point that out. We also have the Page of Spears. This is their... Okay, so if this is a person who recently cycled through, and we just saw this in yesterday's extended, but if you're seeing that narcissistic cycle in some cases, not necessarily saying that you're dealing with a narcissist, but if you are seeing that cycle playing out, this is part of that confidence comes from the confidence in that cycle, or that piece that gets interpreted as confidence during that cycle. But this Page of Spears is kind of the energy that allows it to perpetuate. That's it feels like it's not a huge issue, but maybe bigger than what you would guess. Okay, so Nine of Teacups. You guys know that you want to be close to each other energetically. Like there's this mutual, when you had the soul recognition, it was super evident, but then it was like you also didn't have memory of the contract. So you didn't realize you're already there. But there's, it feels so specific. Like you're specifically the person that, and this, they wouldn't say this about anyone else. The way that they feel about you is very unique and very much like a key in a lock. Then we've got the Six of Hedgehogs that say part of the reason they feel that shame is because they haven't treated you properly. They haven't learned the lessons. This is a lot of messages that showed up in yesterday's reading, whether it was in the YouTube or in the extended reading afterwards. And that yesterday's YouTube was an extension. It was like the extended from the previous day's extended reading. So the last four have been incredibly hooked together, and this is just the same exact messaging coming out to answer a different question. It's basically saying they haven't learned these lessons, and this is part of, they're not healed, haven't learned the lessons, still have a tendency to come towards you, and you give them a sense of happiness that they really don't feel anywhere else. But I feel like that's mutual too. A lot of this is incredibly mutual. This Page of Teacups is what causes you. It's like with this page, pages are they're youthful. Sometimes they're perceived as a little bit more on the naive side. This Page of Teacups definitely has a little bit of that naive energy, but it also has a delicate energy that we felt come out yesterday. That is a shared energy. It also is part of what potentially makes them run away, because this is not Page of Wands, okay? This is not, I'm willing to put my all into this. But Page of Spears says they're willing to give something a try. So this is why you have a tendency to hear from them. And so if you, or they have a tendency to want to reach out even if you're not hearing from them. That's kind of what you're feeling in that energy, and that will draw you to want to reach out. So if you are one of those people who recently reached out and now regrets it and feels a little bit of shame, a little bit of foolishness around it, just know it's not just you. First off, there are several of you that feel this way and mentioned it last night. Or in the last couple of days. If I really want to expand it and say the last couple of days, I would say that message has come in a lot. But I also have several of you who mentioned having talked with your person and feeling like you didn't handle it especially well and not being proud of that. Feels like it reset a little bit of the healing for you, those types of things. I think let's go ahead and get into how they were feeling as a result of that last communication or that last interaction. Okay, so we've got Ace of Wands. Definitely kind of, it fired them up. They know something now, but it feels like they know they have control over something. It let them know they were on the right path. So this is not necessarily what I heard you guys expecting from them. This is not a bunch of, I'm judging you to seem like you're an idiot. However, it does seem like they like the control. Spirit of Wands, not a particularly balanced one. I feel like I can come and go as I please. There's a little bit of that. Nine of Swords, boy, does this freak me out. What else? I'm just going to roll right into the supporters. Oh, the Pair. This is, I can't let go. I can't stop being part of this bond no matter what I do. That is like the Lover's card. It speaks to the bond, but it also speaks to a choice. They don't feel like they have much of a choice, and therefore they feel like their hands are tied because they feel like they don't have very much of a choice in what they're allowed to do. Where is that card? But they especially don't feel like they have much of a choice. Like they can't let go. We have the Five of Flowers here. Again, with the struggle, yesterday's reading, I'm pretty sure opened up with the sense of a struggle. It was like more Five of Air energy, but it was still that sense of I can't make everything even out. I can't make the choice that I want to make. So there's a lot of conflict in here. There feels like there's this sense of balance that comes in when they communicate with you, and then this sense of fear and needing to run away. With the Three of Teacups, though, in the reverse, they've got something that's impacting them in the that's that third party energy, impacting them in some other area of their life that immediately they feel like they have to hide it from that person or from that situation. Could be work, but it's not a very healthy thing, and you will see them behaving in a way that is not especially healthy. Your last communication and interaction left them feeling off balance and left them feeling like this is not you, this is them feeling like I can't do this. I can't do this. Like they feel like you acted way more normal than they did. That's something that wants to come out with this. With the Queen of Spears, there's the I can't have this anymore. I can't have this feeling. They walked away and felt like I cannot allow myself to feel this incapable, you know. And so they are willing to compartmentalize a little bit. And that was kind of what they walked away with. So we see that One of Spears, it's like the Ace of Swords, comes out in almost every reading. And as I was saying in yesterday's extended, whenever the Ace of Swords came out in reverse, to say this exact thing, I was saying that it feels like it comes out in almost every reading, but when it doesn't come out, I can still feel it there. With the Ace of Swords or the One of Spears in the reverse, this is about, it's about that compartmentalization, but really it's about them not facing an entire truth. And in order to do that, they're compartmentalizing. So that's just their mechanism for not facing that truth. So sometimes it's compartmentalizing. Sometimes it's a matter of that truth being there, but they just can't handle it. So they have a tendency to kind of look past it. Okay, Nine of Flowers. This is like a Nine of Wands. It's resistance. We saw it up here. It's a sense of resistance that exists between the two of you, but this is what came out of that last interaction. It made them want to run away. It made them feel really anxious, feeling like they can't get out of this bond, and recognition of that and becoming more aware of that and feeling like they have to run. So there is this tendency for them to want to hide some of that truth from themselves. Man, this is also not a particularly easy place to find themselves. So this is not necessarily their full emotional reaction. This is like their gut response. Hang on. Yeah, I knew I dropped some. They were left without complete understanding of like where they are. They were left without a solid perspective. Felt a little bit like they were discombobulated. I mentioned here that it left them off balance, but this is making them realize that some of what they thought they knew, they actually don't feel like they know. They now are feeling a little less certain about. King of Hedgehogs. So this is, again, not that particularly, the hedgehogs are earth energy in this deck. And so with the King of Hedgehogs, this reminds me of that King of Pentacles that came out in yesterday's extended, because this really feels like an extended to yesterday's extended. And it's about that it's where the word narcissism started coming out, because it was where I realized, oh my goodness, this person it's like they're being really charismatic, but it's fake. It's based on a fear that's coming from them, and it's like it's a hard shell that helps to protect them. This Judgment card says they are becoming aware of it. We saw this card come out yesterday also. With this one though, becoming aware of it under this energy, they are being a little bit more defensive. So they're pointing the finger like at other people instead of taking responsibility for their actions. Feeling a little bit like they can't make choices, or they're not able to decide which way to go, like they're not in the driver's seat, and feeling like they're looking to be inconsistent and yet incredibly passionate. So we have more flowers energy, and flowers are fire energy in this deck. So we've got the Knight of Flowers, which is like that Knight of Wands over here, One of Flowers, which is like that Ace of Wands. And so it's a lot of passion. There's a lot of passion, but it doesn't really get itself organized. And it has a tendency, I'm going to try and push this up a little bit so you can see all of it. Yeah, it doesn't have, it doesn't necessarily go well with this feeling that they aren't in control and that they wish they were, and that they're not feeling balanced. It has them more grasping, and that anxiety angle really starts to come out. They need some time to unravel, I guess, after that, in order to figure out truly what they feel. Even if it's been a little bit of time, they haven't truly gotten to a place where they were able to unravel. And we can tell that through some of this energy that is between the two of you. But we asked how that last interaction left them feeling, and it left them feeling off kilter, off balance, questioning themselves in a lot of ways, and starting to rely on that tendency that they have to have that hard outer shell. So something about that, it caught them at a time that it was particularly difficult for them to feel confidence, and they have a lot of anxiety as a result. Does not necessarily mean that that you made a bunch of big mistakes. So this shame that you're feeling may be more a perspective that you're putting on it, rather than something that they are giving you. They felt more fear than they felt judgment around your behavior. So let's look at what you can do about this. As always, we like to look to the lessons, see what, based on what's on that table, what do you need to focus on? What does this need to be? What does it need to mean for you? Maybe even tell us a little bit about practical advice, what you should be doing. So we have an Ace of Swords. Oh, okay. So we have another Ace of Swords. That One of Spears that came out over here in the reverse said that they are not really, they're not honoring all of the truth that they've been presented with. And this here in this same position is saying, or in this position is saying something very similar. Basically, that there's something that you could take some time to allow some of this to soak in, and for you to take a very objective view. In fact, one of the messages that I'm kind of getting right now is pretend it's somebody else. Pretend it's somebody else. There's something you haven't yet figured out, as far as there's wisdom that has not yet come to you. And when it does, it's going to hit really, really hard. So you've got the Naked Heart, which this is the Naked Heart Tarot. And so most tarot decks are about 78 cards. This is the 79th card, and it has to do with removing, in this case, the way that it feels like it's coming out, it has to do with removing the boundaries between yourself and your higher power. So it's got a little bit of that aspect of the High Priestess, a little bit of that Emperor and Empress mixed in, but really it's very heavy on the emotional side. So heavy on the cups elements of though, and the water elements of those Emperor and Empress. But this is a place that you're heading to a way of thinking and a way of looking at things that is a lot more like it's taking the high road, but there's a perspective that's missing for you, and a truth that you're not yet taking into consideration that's going to help ease that transition for you. Okay, and let's see. So we've got the Three of Flowers. Talked about this energy yesterday. This is that energy of feeling like you haven't done something yet, or you haven't invested energy that you need to, and feeling like you're behind. And this card tells us that you actually have met more of the prerequisites than you realize. Keep looking. This is better than you might immediately feel like it is. Seven of Flowers, you're going to feel a burst of confidence. So we know that as we move toward the end of this year, and possibly beyond, because we haven't really looked beyond that, but your flame is growing. You are moving into a place where you're going to have a lot greater capacity. So this Naked Heart, as it turns upright, this is going to be your ability to function in your surroundings without feeling pain every day, without feeling like you miss this person every day. It's a lot more of a copacetic, coexisting with the environment as opposed to feeling a need to fight with it. I guess that's what comes out for me. We also have the Queen of Flowers, though. So you may not feel like a need to fight with your environment, but you're definitely going to be able to marshal your energy to do pretty much whatever you need to with it. So that is going to feel pretty incredible. And I feel like that's going to help to lift your spirits even more as you move toward the end of the year. With the Emperor in reverse here, this is a reminder not to try and control things too much, because we've also got this Eight of Spears. You're going to have, this is going to open up energy for you if you're able to allow yourself to access these truths, allow yourself to take in this wisdom. You're going to unlock some things for yourself that really do make life a lot easier as that flame grows. Allow that to happen and don't try to force it, I guess, is kind of what comes out with that Emperor. You also have the One of Teacups. So One of Teacups is allowing emotion to flow, but in this case, it's really allowing that energy to come in from outside, allowing partnership to happen. So we know that you have potentially multiple soulmates coming in your direction, probably this person, because there's a lot of a desire for them to reach out, even though they've got this complicated response when they do interact with you. It does not feel like this is an isolated incident. It feels like it kind of has grown into this, and now you have a person who is skittish and afraid, but not necessarily with good reason, just somebody who has gotten so far up into their own head that they can't seem to get back out. You will be given advice that tells you something you don't want to hear. When you get it, and we've heard this one a couple of times here recently, when you get that, just sit with it for a little bit. You may still not take it, but at least give yourself an opportunity to think it through and to say, this is something that I might actually consider. You don't have to tell anybody that you're considering it. Just take it into yourself and be thinking about it. There may be something very worthwhile here. And it may happen relatively quickly. This says that things may happen relatively quickly and that the world is moving in a direction to want to support you. So that Three of Hedgehogs is about support coming to you. Eight of Flowers is about things moving quickly. So this is not to be confused with you need to move quickly. It's more around the energy around you will start to move quickly. So it'll be more your interpretation of it rather than like a reaction to it or having to jump in and do anything really quickly. Just this is things start to move more fluidly and dynamically. And this is be prepared for that. You've got some truths that are going to be relatively new to you, some wisdoms that you may not completely already know how to apply, some wisdom that you may not already know how to apply. And this is not something that happens in a flash. It is something that happens as a process. So allow yourself to grow in this process. Part of it's going to be, the reason that it's so relevant to this is particularly around this very first card that came out and this Fool card coming out in the reverse to say that maybe you don't feel so great about your last interaction. Let that go. This one is saying, you know what, let it go, move into this new area, and it's going to help to lift you up. Your subsequent interactions, if you have them, which you may, because this is a person who does think of you a lot. They are also fighting really hard not to reach out and have gotten in the habit of not reaching out. However, they are they're still feeling like, with this Lover's card, I don't have a choice. I can't get rid of this. I can't let go. I can't completely walk away. I don't know what I should be doing, but I definitely don't have as much control over this as I'd like. There's a lot of that element as well. And that I would say is true for both of you. But this is about focusing on your own development as opposed to focusing on any shame that you feel from your last interaction. Your person is still very much processing and working through their response to your last interaction. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this here. It's a soulmate snapshot, so it does not have an extended on the end of it, but I will be back again tomorrow, and probably, I don't know what I'm doing just yet for tomorrow because I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants and letting things happen as they feel like they need to happen, but I suspect it's going to be a full-length I guess this one's turning into a full-length video, but a full-length video along with an extended on the end. So we will watch it as it develops, and you guys can let me know what it is that you most want to hear about. All right, talk to you soon, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.